eBay business policies. This is the 2025 playbook with a deep dive on the shipping policies. What are business policies? They're templates that you make, you can then apply to all of your eBay listings. So they're a way to make your payments, your shipping, and your returns easier. It reduces error. You're allowed to do bulk changes this way. So if you make a decision later on, it's easier to change them all. And it will standardize the buyer experience, which is what eBay really looks for. So are you using business policies already? If you are, do you need to change them? Where to manage them? So to find them, you're going to go to My eBay. And when you go under your name, you'll see account settings. You're going to hit account settings. And then about halfway down is business policies. Now, just so everybody knows, there is another way to get there, but this is just a very simplistic way for me to be able to show you. So you hit business policies and it will bring you up to this page. And this is all policies. So you have payment, return, and shipping all on this account right here. So you can see that on mine, I have default policy 1 for payment, and every single one of my items is in that. So I don't have more than one payment option. And my returns, I do have 2 returns policies, but only one is being used right now. And then for shipping, that's where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. And I have 3 different shipping policies that are being used right now. So you can change this. How many policies do you have? eBay used to multiply these without us doing anything. And I'm going to show you an example of that in a little while. So I cleaned mine up a few months ago. And in the last few months, they have not been multiplying. So hopefully we'll be able to do this once or twice and you won't have to touch this very often. So let's talk about what each policy can do. So for the return, it's how long they have to return something. Free returns, return your shipping rules. If you do free shipping, free return shipping, you do qualify for top rated plus. Now, that's different than top rated plus. Payment, how the buyer can pay you. And then shipping, what services you offer, cost type, your handling time, what other exclusions you have, and you're able to set up rate tables. So let's look at returns. So right now, I have 2 returns. I have no returns allowed in one policy, and that is if I sold some dishes for somebody. I hardly ever use it, but I keep it there just in case. So all of mine go into a default, and that's just how I identify it. I just write default, free 60 days, money back, international 30-day paid. So for me, free 60-day returns because I did the 30 and the 60 and I had no difference in the 2. So because I have no difference, I decided to keep with the 60. I think it bumps me up in search a little. And so I like that idea of that. So I keep it there. And you can see within the same policy, you're able to do your international and your domestic. So this is what it looks like when you go to create return policy. So put the policy name in. So I always write default, the one that I want to be the one that is used most. Doesn't mean that has to be the one that's used every time, but just the one that's mostly used. I write like default return policy, and then I write what it is. And to be quite honest with you, I just copy the policy name and put it right in the description. The description's optional. I really think it's only helpful maybe if you're training somebody or for very specific use cases. Most of the time, if you just have the policy name and you spell it out very clearly, you'll have no problems. Offering a minimum 30-day return policy helps your listings qualify for top-rated seller benefits. So if you're offering 30-day returns, you do get top-rated seller status. Now, if you want top-rated plus, you have to offer free returns. So, of course, you can toggle whether you're going to accept returns or not. And again, with international returns, you toggle whether you're going to accept them or not. So when you toggle it, this pops up. So I did this. Default 60-day paid returns. This isn't mine. I was just making one up. Default 60-day paid returns, no international returns. And then I toggle it on, the domestic, and then I pick in the drop downs to make sure that what I wrote in the policy name matches the drop downs. Okay. So 60 days, returns are accepted within 60 days. Return shipping will be paid by the buyer and you'll get your money back. Now, if you're somebody who has multiples, if you're somebody who is selling things that you have 100 of this one item, on that item, you may want to do money back or replacement because maybe it just got cracked in shipping and you have another widget that you can send right out. So make sure you're looking at it as each individual item. So somebody like Desiree, who has multiples of some things, soaps and stuff, maybe she puts replacement allowed on that rather than giving their money back. And on this, I was not going to accept international returns. So a pro tip is to have as many policies as you want and use them to your benefit. Just like I said. So if you're a clothing seller and it's a one-off sell, you're not going to have a replacement. But what if I happen to get a Gaylord of leggings and they're all mediums and they're all black? What the heck? Might as well allow you to have a replacement because I have them at my service, right? So think about these things as how it can benefit you the most. So now let's talk about payments. Payments really should be a one and done. I think most of us are just using eBay managed payments. So if we are, I only have one default policy and I do have one for an auction. But for the default policy, require immediate payment when a buyer uses buy it now. And whether you're going to use allow offline payment, which are not managed by eBay. In my opinion, I don't think you should do it. But if you are somebody, again, I'm going to use Desiree as an example, who already has another way of selling through your own website, maybe you do that. Maybe you can process the checks and the money orders. The problem is it used to be a million years ago, somebody would send us a check or a money order and we would wait for it to cash before we'd send the item out. But now that isn't the way it works. eBay's still going to make you want to send it out in your handling time within a certain time frame. So if I was you, I would stick with eBay managed payments and not fool around with it. Any questions about those easy ones? Pam.
So when I'm in here, especially on the payments one, because that's not something I ever pay attention to because I don't
Mhm.
need to. But for some reason, I have two different eBay managed payments. One
Okay.
has 3,400 listings on it, and the other
Yep.
one has 2,600 listings on it.
Yeah, that's okay. So what we're going to do is at the end, I'm going to show you can merge those together and just have one payment policy.
Okay, yeah, because that's dumb.
Yeah, because
That
there's no reason really. If you're going to have just payment policies, then you don't really need to. If you're just going to do managed payments. Um, okay. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. So shipping policies. There are basically three ways you can do them. You can do flat, which is predictable, easy promos. You know exactly what you're paying all the time. Calculated, exact by weight, location. Caution, SEO does not like this. It's what we're going to talk about. And free, which is boost conversion and the price is baked in. Why shipping policies matter in 2025? The potential SEO and Google impact. That is why they matter. You want to be found in Google. Now, this is not in the Google seminar that they put on YouTube, but Teresa Cox and I were both in the exact same room. And we both heard the exact same thing. And in this eBay Open seminar between eBay and Google, the eBay guy who was the head architect of search and the woman who works for Google, and she is the eBay search Google contact, they both said that items will not be indexed easily or at all if you use calculated shipping. So, with that said, I don't think anyone should use calculated shipping except for rare occasions. And why? Why is this happening? Why won't it get indexed by Google? A couple of things. Google wants you to come and be able to give you all of the information. Google wants to have a clear picture of what it's offering its people. So It's unclear what the total cost will be. They don't know where you are. They don't know where it's coming from. They are not making a guess. That isn't what they're there for. So they don't like the fact that they can't give you all of the information. And so the final price isn't transparent and you have to go in to figure it out. Google doesn't want that. It's an inconsistent buyer experience, right? Sometimes Google gives you all the information, sometimes Google doesn't. You can get upset with Google. So they don't want that either. They want you to always get the same information from Google that you when you're looking for it. Um, it reduced structured data accuracy. So this was an interesting thing about Google shopping algorithms, and they rely on structured data. So it includes product and shipping costs. So when they're doing these things, it interrupts it because it can't figure out where to put it. So sometimes it just won't put it anywhere. And you don't want that to be the case with your item. Um, Google prioritizes listings that are simple and predictable. Here's a red shirt. It's from Polo. It is used. It's $30 with $10 shipping. That's a straightforward thing that Google does not have to think about. It's giving you all the information. When you say, it's $5 to the East Coast, but if an APO wants it, it's $10. If I'm sending it to Hawaii or Alaska, I'm doing a surcharge. Google's not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because it doesn't know where to put it. Um, and because of this, what it does to Google is it lowers the search quality, and they do not want that. And because they don't want to ruin their own search quality, they are not going to put your listing indexed while people are looking for Google shopping. Now, another thing that he said was that it was a substantial amount of eBay traffic coming from Google search, a substantial amount. So it seems as if there's a whole group of people who are really not searching within eBay. They're searching within Google. And so because of that, you want to make sure you're getting found on Google. So to do that, we need to change the shipping policy. So you're going to go to create a policy. You're going to hit the shipping tab. And this is what pops up. This is what a blank form looks like. Policy name, description, shipping method, domestic, rate table, international shipping, whether you take local pickup or not, and then your preferences, okay? For most people, I think they're interested in what Teresa's schedule is. They like the idea of the tiered shipping, right? So let's do one. So let's do 1 ounces to 8 ounces tiered shipping. And you are going to charge them the same amount. So that means whether they live in Boston, they're paying this, whether they live in Hawaii, they're paying this, or anywhere in the United States, not continental United States. It used to be that there was a surcharge for Hawaii and Alaska. That isn't true anymore since we went to zones. So even places like Guam, the Marshall Islands, if you are a territory of the United States, you're in a zone, and so it's the exact same. So standard shipping, small to medium items, flat to all buyers. Now, a rate table will confuse Google. I'm going to ask you to have more policies and not a rate table. Because a rate table, then Google has to decide where it's going to put it, and they're not going to do that. So I'd much rather you use more policies that are broken down like 1 to 8 ounces, 8 ounces to 12, whatever you feel comfortable. Maybe you want to do 1 ounces to 4 ounces. Maybe you're a jewelry seller and you just don't want to do 1 to 4. Whatever works for you, I would rather see you do that than a rate table. So then you're going to pick what you want. I did USPS Ground Advantage. That seems to be the best deal as of right now. And then I made it $4.99. And then for each additional item in that same bracket would be $3. Now, I did $4.99. I just made that up because I kind of do subsidized shipping. I pay for a little of the shipping. I want my shipping to be lower. But I know a lot of you guys want to make sure you're making money on your shipping. So make that rack rate or over. So if rack rate right now is $7.99, make it $8.50 or whatever you feel like the market can bear. The other thing I would suggest is go into your exact um, niche and find out what your competition is doing for shipping. You don't want you and your neighbor, you and your best competition, both to have that red polo, and she's doing $5 shipping and you're doing 15 because the $5 shipping would probably win out. So just make sure you're in the same ballpark as people that you're up against. I don't think you need to exclude locations, especially if you're in the eBay International program. Okay. So if you are not in the international eBay program, eBay International Shipping Program, I would absolutely say that you should be. It doesn't mean that you can't ship on your own, but make sure you're in it. All right, let's talk about rate tables for a second and why I would stay away from them. They confuse buyers. They don't understand what they have to pick, and they're unpredictable. And eBay itself says that when you use these shipping tables, they get more abandoned carts than they do with the buyers that have flat up, this is how much it costs right across the board shipping. So using a rate table, I think, is a bad idea for most sellers. Lower conversion rates. They don't convert because they don't understand what they're going to have to pay. Indexing and visibility issues, like we were talking about with Google Shopping, you're not going to get indexed very easily there because they don't know what they're going to have to pay. Harder to manage across platforms. If you are cross listing to other places, this isn't something that's going to easily go to somewhere else. So if you're somebody who starts in eBay and then moves out the other way, this isn't going to help you at all. And I also think that you'll get more customer service hassles. People don't understand how it works. I would stay away from them unless you are doing something very, very specific. EIS. If you are not in EIS, get yourself in it. It is absolutely a great program. Now, that doesn't mean that you can offer shipping outside of it, but EIS has a lot of great things. And so you can use both eBay International Shipping and Ship International yourself through Pirate Ship or VQ or even through eBay, whatever you wish. But you just can't do that on the same order. So you can't have a guy want to buy two things and want to ship them two different ways. They have to be shipped the same way. The great thing about EIS is that it takes over automatically. They do everything. All you're doing is shipping it to a hub. So for me, it usually goes to Chicago. And then I don't have to worry about anything. eBay deals with customs. eBay deals with returns. eBay deals with everything. So any problems with that item, eBay takes care of it. You can still self-ship if you wish for countries not covered by EIS, or if you have certain listings that you think they're getting charged too much for and you can ship for a lot less and you think that may help your sales, you can do that. Again, not both on the same transaction, but you have a listing, a certain level of flexibility this way. So set up an international, set up both policies so then you can pick which one you want to use. I think the best practice is exactly what I wrote on this bottom. Best practice. Many sellers enable EIS for bulk of their listings since eBay handles the returns, the customs, shipping issues. Once you send it to the hub, it's out. You've fulfilled your part of the bargain. But for special cases, things that are really high value, things that maybe are oversized or countries that we don't normally, that EIS won't go to, you could do it yourself and get extra shipping insurance, etc. that way. Okay. So Teresa has this shipping formula, tiered shipping formula. And this is what works for her. And I think would work for most of you guys. And so feel free to use exactly what she does or change it up a little and make it for yourself. But this is a really good example. And Teresa is consistently ahead on her shipping. Okay. Meaning you may lose $1 one way, but you're going to gain a couple dollars another way. And so she always comes out ahead every year by doing this kind of shipping. Domestic tiers, she does 1 through 8 ounces, and then 9 through 16, and then goes to pounds, 1 to 2 pounds, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, over 4. She does media mail. And then same with international, 1 to 8 ounces, 9 to 16, and again with the pounds. She did make the decision if it was over 4 pounds and it was going overseas that it would be calculated. I think that that's a perfectly legitimate thing. And you could do calculated on heavier items if you wish to be able to make sure you're not going to lose an arm and a leg doing it. Um, and the thing is about the each additional, that can encourage people to buy something else, especially if the shipping difference is quite a bit. It might get you to be able to sell quite a few more things because people are like, oh, it only, added me $2 to be able to add another item. Things like that.
Trish, let me say something on that international shipping. When you ship international by yourself, the reason that I do calculated over 4 pounds, because once it hits 4 pounds, it becomes international priority
Okay.
versus international first class package.
Over 4 pounds, it goes to priority.
Right.
Okay.
Anything under 4 pounds is international first class package.
Okay. I'm going to add that to the slide afterwards so that if anybody has any questions on that, they'll know that. So why use this shipping setup comparatively to something else? It's simple for buyers. It's a clear upfront cost. They know exactly what they're getting. Google will find it easily. It's predictable for sellers. You can predict how much money you should be able to make in this. You're not waiting to see what the shipping is going to be. It encourages multi-orders, like I just said, for that reduced additional fee. It saves time because it avoids the complex shipping calculator that eBay is making you use when you're doing calculated shipping. And it's better visibility in Google and I think in eBay also, to be quite honest with you. I think eBay favors listings with clear shipping policies. And I just was going to say again, make it your own. If you think those are too high, lower them. If you think they're too low, make them higher. Make this to what it works for you, but also check your competition, in my opinion. Tiered shipping versus calculated, it's basically what I just said. Clear upfront costs, predictable profits, encourages multi-item orders. Google indexes it, may slightly overcharge or undercharge depending on buyer's location. So on some, you're going to lose a little money, and on some, you're going to gain a few bucks. But I think you're going to come out in the wash, and in teas, she always comes out ahead. Calculated shipping is based on a buyer's zip code and the item weight. Sometimes it's cheaper for nearby buyers, but hidden until checkout. You don't know. So here's the other thing. Sometimes people decide I'm not buying that at the last minute because the shipping's too much. They decide I'm not paying $12 for shipping. I'll go find it from somebody else. And so calculated shipping has a higher number of abandoned carts than any other product right now because people get to that section and then they're like, nope, no, thank you. I'll go find it somewhere else. And you will not get on Google. And it can be more complicated to control the whole thing. I would just like to talk for a second about free or subsidized shipping. Susie Eads does free shipping. I did free shipping for a very long time. Free shipping is built into the cost of the item. It definitely boosts on eBay and Google. And they highlight the free shipping listings. It absolutely is true. But sometimes it's just too much that you can't eat it in. Sometimes you just feel like you can't do it. It increased buyer trust and click-through rate. And it works best on lightweight, high margin items. And I did it for a very long time. And it just got to the point where I just couldn't financially sustain it anymore. And so I went to what I call subsidized shipping. So for me, I want to be the cheapest shipping. So if you get my red shirt and Susie's red shirt and Susie's charging $15, I want to have 6, right? So on most things, I lose money on my shipping. A few things, if it's really close to me, I may make a few dollars, but I am still paying for shipping more than most people, but I'm okay with it because for a long time I did free shipping. So for me, I'm still ahead of the game. And the subsidized for me just makes my item look more attractive when it comes down to somebody else's shipping. Buyers feel shipping is affordable and simple while other sellers still protect margins through smart pricing. So just be aware, and a lot of this is niche specific, right? Okay, pitfalls and fixes. Too many policies, and we're going to see that because our friend Pam McAllister may have a lot of them. You want to consolidate those. I don't think I would mix calculated and rate tables. I think that will even get even more confusing. And also change your outdated carrier names. Like I went in and I had one that said first class mail. Well, it's not first class mail anymore. It's Ground Advantage. So just go in every once in a while and look at these. eBay used to multiply your policies. I don't think it's doing it quite as much anymore. I cleaned up mine maybe 6 months ago, and I didn't have any more policies 6 months today than I did 6 months ago. So for me, I haven't had that. And for a while, you would multiply policies. They seem to have gotten that under control. A side note, if you're using policies already, keep them in good shape. Old or unused policies can pile up and create confusion because when you get the drop down, you're going to have like 40 to go through before you can find the one you want. Get rid of them. Review and update regularly to avoid errors when listing. Consolidate and simplify. If you have two of them that are doing the same thing, there's got to be just combine them and then get rid of one. That's what I was saying to Pam about her payment policy. Sometimes you just need to make a new policy and try to get everything in there and then get rid of the other ones. Important note though, pending offers, active sales tied to an old policy, they may not move. You may merge them and like, let's say 500 will merge and 30 will still be in there. And then you'll have to go in and figure out why those 30 didn't merge. You can always go in and end those, put in a new policy, and then, do it that way if you have to. So these are literal screenshots of Pam's policies and how many there are. She has a lot of policies and a lot of them have like gibberish names. So I am going to challenge her to clean these up. She really doesn't need more than one payment policy, one or two return policies, and then you're shipping. And you want to make it as streamlined as possible for you also, so that when you're doing it, you're just picking the right one and keep it moving. So I just wanted to show you, you got to stay upon it or you'll end up with 3 pages full of shipping policies like Pam has. So let's start. If you're not using shipping policies yet, first step is to make them. Step 1, make your payment policy because I think that's the easiest. Then make your return policy, then your shipping policy. eBay states it may drop all of your active listings into your newly created business policy. But from this morning at Mastermind, I haven't had that. I have nobody said that's happening. So I don't want anyone to expect. I don't think that's the expected behavior. I think you're going to have to put the policies in. Okay. This is my actual business policies. And I just wanted to show you, I wanted to see how I could get some into a new policy and how easy it was. And I'm going to walk you through it. So what I did was I took 4 of my listings that I had just listed and I am going to edit them. So a bulk edit. Okay. So you already have your policy set up. You're going to go in, you're going to edit the 4 I want to go into a new policy. And then I'm going to click them all. And then I'm going to go to bulk edit. And then I'm going to go to business policies. So it says I have 4. Shipping policy, no change, change to. So I'm going to do 4 eligible on my shipping policy. I'm going to change 2, and then it's going to show me my policies. So I did a test policy under £1 just to show how easy it is just to get it in there. So I click that and I save it, and then it reviews it and confirmation, and then they're all in there. Now, you could do this at the same time that you put in a payment policy and a return policy. So you could do those all at the same time if you wish. And then I go back to show that those 4 items are now in my test category, test paid under £1, and they're in there. So this isn't very difficult. It could just be a little time consuming depending on how many listings you have. I am going to suggest that you start now. Start today, make your policies, and start with your new listings. So when you're listing today, start doing it and then slowly go back and maybe do 100 a day or whatever you need to do. I know it's daunting and I wish there was some really easy way for me to be able to tell you to do this. One way that you could do it is you could sort by category. So let's say shirts. Maybe you have a t-shirt category, right? Go into your listings and do all t-shirts and just make them 12 ounces and under or something like that, right? And assign that policy to it, that shipping policy, because you can be rest assured that most of them are under 2 pounds. I mean, 12 ounces. Okay. Questions? Where's Pam?
I'm here.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we do. We have questions.
Okay.
Can the policies be rearranged?
Yes, they can be rearranged. You can put them in alphabetical order. Yes.
Excellent. Teresa, just for clarification, are you still using $4.99 for 4 ounces and under?
What was on the chart?
I think it's $4.99 for 4 ounces and
Let
under.
me look at the chart.
I think it
Yeah.
was 8 ounces and under.
Yeah, so you did 1 to 18, not you didn't
Yeah.
have.
Oh,
Yeah, 1 to 8. And that's only because I just implemented that maybe 6 months ago because it took me 8 years to figure out that I should have been doing that. And that's just because when I transferred over, I had no easy way of determining how much an item weighed unless it was under a pound. So I am doing anything new that I list that's 1 to 8 ounces is going in that policy.
And if you're somebody who, like Courtney, I don't know if Courtney's here, but somebody like Courtney who sells a lot of single jewelry, maybe you do want 4 ounces and under, right? To keep your shipping in line with the other jewelry sellers.
Yeah, you're not going to get much cheaper. I think like for me, if it goes from Arizona to Maine, it's like $4.25 or $4.28 or something like that.
So you just want to make sure you just look at it is all I mean.
Yeah.
for sure. Somebody asked, is this just for USPS?
No. You can have shipping policies for FedEx, UPS, DHL. So anything that eBay integrates with, you can have a shipping policy with them. So when you go in to pick it, you have to make sure you pick USPS, not UPS.
Can I make a suggestion? Just because I don't want people to think that you have to have 17 options for every listing.
No.
And I suggest not doing that. I am all about streamlining the listing process. So I list everything as standard shipping, USPS, and then I do it by the weight. When I go to ship it, sometimes I'll go to Pirate Ship to ship an item that's over a pound, and it will end up going through UPS. And that way I haven't stated it on eBay, and I can ship it whichever's cheapest when I go to ship.
I'm going to show you that. I'll show you guys that. Number 2 had a question. I think
her question is, can we do this through LP?
No, ma'am. This is absolutely an eBay thing.
We have a place where we must select the main shipping company. Does the customer not see that?
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you choose. I'm just finding it here for you. Hold on.
Let me see what my listing says.
Yeah, I know we definitely used to be able to just pick standard or
You still
economy.
can.
We didn't have to pick. We didn't have to pick a shipping carrier like Teresa was saying.
You still can.
Yeah.
My problem with it is that it changes the dates. That's my problem with it.
And I don't find that it's a real problem. I feel like everything still gets shipped in the whatever amount of time. So I just looked at 2 of my listings. If it's my media mail does say delivered in XYZ days, or ships USPS media mail. My other stuff just says US $7.99 delivery in 2 to 4 days.
So let me just show you this. do not know why I'm having such a hard time showing you this. Is this it? Yeah. So see, eBay standard envelope. So that's for like cards. USPS Ground Advantage, which is what most of us use. Then UPS, FedEx, UPS, I mean USPS, but then see standard shipping with adult signature required, standard shipping, 1 to 5 business days. Standard shipping means I can ship it however I want. So you can, like T said, if you do standard shipping, you can bring it to the post office, you can bring it to FedEx, you can bring it wherever, as long as it gets there within the time frame.
Correct. Hold on. When you do that, it moves my chat.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. You got to show what you got to show. If you have your first shipping as free and the second and third as calculated, will it still be seen?
I'm not sure. Explain who wrote that and can you tell me why you would do that?
Susie.
Susie, explain to me.
The way I used to do it is when I did free shipping is I would have free standard shipping, but then I would give them the option if they wanted to pay for priority or if they wanted to pay for UPS. That's how I did it back in the day. Now I don't give them any options like that.
I give them options. My first one is always free shipping, but if somebody wants it sent quicker, like second day air or something, I give them that option.
And so why don't you, if it's second day air, which is a standard price, why don't you just put the price in?
Because it's different in different locations depending upon the weight.
No, but why don't you just use the flat express envelope?
Oh, I don't know. Probably because I've been burned on it before, but I was told that as long as I had free shipping was my first option, that I would be seen.
Okay.
But you know how sometimes when you're there and different people tell you different things, I just wanted to see if anybody heard anything different.
I did not hear anything different. I would assume that you're going to be seen. My assumption is the first one is what matters, but maybe we should do a test.
I'll do that.
Mine
I'll see.
says, oh, sorry, Susie. It says the policy is currently being used for 65 listings. Changing this policy will affect these listings. I thought that it meant it would update them to the new shipping policy. For me, I can't. I've done it because I have worked on my shipping policies. That's why I only gave you all 3 pages because the 4th page was now empty because I've moved those. But it does. If you change the policy on one item or you're changing the policy, it should update to all those other 65 listings. That's what it's done for me.
Yeah. So if you, yes, that's what it should do, but it may do like 62 when you have 3 randoms left in that policy for whatever reason. But that is the expected behavior. Yes.
And then another thing to know when you're changing these policies, you can update them and it may not update 2 or 3. And that's for a lot of reasons. You could have a offer out on those. It won't change any shipping prices if anything's active on the listing. Just wait another couple of days and go back and edit those when those when those offers are dead. And I know Trish covered, sometimes eBay will duplicate a listing for you. And that happens when eBay, typically when they change a policy or they change a category or item specifics, or what it does is if your listing renews and eBay's implemented this item specific rule that says you have to have, all these variations on your used clothing, if you haven't fixed that, it can't renew that. And it creates it. Somebody explained to me, it didn't make sense, but that's what causes it to create a new listing policy. So you do need to look at those, and the new listing policy will say, I have mine, A is 1 through 8 ounces, B is 9 through 16, so that when I sort them, they'll be in order by weight, and it'll say copy at the end of it. And then I'm like, oh crap, what did eBay do? So then I go and I look at the copy ones, I bulk edit them and fix them and put them into the right policy. And this was an interesting thing that happened to me because just in looking at this week, I had 2 items that were it created a new return policy where I had to have 60-day returns. And I'm like, what? And one of them was oil filters for a car, and the other one was die-cast cars. So I remembered that eBay had, and I don't sell a lot of auto parts, but eBay had changed their policy on auto parts requiring you to give them 60-day returns, free returns. And so that was the one for that. And then the die-cast cars were in the wrong store, in the wrong eBay category. So I changed the die-cast store to the right category, and that eliminated the need to change that policy. And now I have one filter in a policy that requires me to give 60-day free returns. And I'm thinking about just donating the filter because I don't need it. Like, it's one of those things. So you just have to keep it, it's not a do it less and forget it. You have to go back and review your policies to see, when these changes are made and figure out why. Because without changing the policies, changing your listings, you won't be able to put them into a policy that you want.
Kathy had made mention that they couldn't read your slide on my business policies. I don't know if she saw the message, but that it was pretty much just to make the point, don't do what I do.
I was just making the point of how many there were.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because I started this before the business policies started. So I haven't gotten all of them into the business policies that I've now started since the changeover.
Business policies do make some things much easier. You can, let's say, you're going somewhere or you want to do whatever, you can do some things in business policies that make it easier to do, make a change. Gina asked, no, I'm sorry. Sandy asked, this policy is currently being used for 65 listings. Changing this policy would affect these listings. Oh, that's what you just said. I apologize. Yes. What are people using for additional services? I'm using USPS for under £1. So priority $90.99 for an upgrade policy. How many additional services do I need if a buyer prefers something other than USPS?
Let me answer this.
Personally, I don't give them anything.
Simplify your life. You do not need to give additional options. I'm about streamlining. There is not a priority over $9.99. Priority mail is like, yeah, it's there, but Ground Advantage, just use Ground Advantage. It's cheaper. It gets there in about the same amount of time, maybe a day later, but you get more time when you list Ground Advantage. And you want to make this as easy as possible. And I can tell you, I've been doing this for 8 years. I can count on one hand the number of times somebody has reached out to me and said, hey, can you make expedited shipping? I'll pay for it. Then I go in, I'll create a listing, a policy if I don't have one. I'll go into that listing, change it to that policy, that one listing, and do that. I would rather do that 5 times in 8 years than have to figure out 15,000 listings and all these different variations.
I think that if somebody really wants something, they'll ask if you can do expedited shipping. I think T is completely right. I think if somebody's like, oh, I really need this. I'm going to a party on Friday night. I'd really love this scarf, right? That they're going to write you and they're going to say, is there any way you could overnight this to me or whatever? And you can say, yeah, it'll be $15. Okay, done deal. I'll send you. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it is so rare that I don't think you're going to get extra sales from it. I would rather see you have streamlined, easy things that you guys can use. And then if somebody asks for it, you can do it, or you can say, no, sorry, I can't, if it's not worth your time and effort. Does anybody have any questions? Any other questions? And yeah, please, Chris, go ahead.
So if you had set it up as standard shipping and it comes time to print your label, is it at that time you're choosing USPS, or if you're using eBay shipping?
Yep. It's exactly.
So if you prefer USPS Advantage,
yep,
you might as well set it up that way versus standard.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that standard does, here's the thing what standard does, right? If you have 6,000 listings like my friend Pam, and she is not quite ready to go in and to do every single one, she could do standard shipping across all kit and caboodle. And if it's under a pound, she could do standard, she could send it Ground Advantage. And if it's over a pound, she could put it in a flat rate envelope. And if anybody has another deep dive that they would like to talk about, let me know. Because I think this would be good if we do this once or twice a month, a deep dive on a certain subject. So if somebody else has a subject they would like to deep dive on, let me know. I hope you all have a lovely evening. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Take
you.
a break,
Bye.
Trish.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help. This was
Thank
wonderful,
you.
Trish. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Glad it helped.